Who is League's main audience? Pro play enthusiasts, solo queue sweats, pros themselves, or gigachads who only play normals in ARAM with their friends? I may not be the lead marketing director at Riot Games, but if I had to take a guess, it's all of them. The wider the audience, the easier it is to grow and make more money. That brings in a major problem though, the one that has to be faced by every competitive multiplayer game sooner or later. Who do you balance the game for? Let's just exclude ARAM and rotating game modes for now and only talk about the main mode that most people play. Summon's Rift. From normals and blind pick, all the way to the top 0.0014% of players in Challenger, ELO and esports, this is the one map that everyone plays on, with the same champion balancing and same items. So how do you make the game fair for everyone? It's easy. You don't. Here's the deal, players in Silver 4 play completely differently from players in Grandmaster, and those guys play a completely different game to esports tournaments. So right from the get-go, balancing every single champion and item in the game for every single level of play and coordination at which the game can be played is... well, let's say calling it difficult is like calling the ocean somewhat damp. So let's assume that truly balancing everything for everyone is truly impossible, which it might as well be. Now what? You need to prioritize one or a few subsets of players which you balance the game around. The others will just have to adapt. Now you're left with another conundrum. Let's simplify the situation and assume that we have three major groups of players that need to be catered to, and only one can dictate the balance. Low elo players, high elo players, and professionals. For the purpose of simplification, let's call everything Master Plus High Elo, Diamond and below Low Elo, where the numerical majority of the player base is. It seems accurate enough considering what I read in solo queue or chat. Just to be clear, Pro Play is separate from High Elo due to not only the individual skill difference between the average Grandmaster and literally Showmaker, but also due to the difference in the way that tournaments are played compared to solo queue. There's a strong argument for balancing the game around high elo play, since those are normal players that just happen to be extremely good at what they do, so they know a lot of things about the game and can probably discern what is overpowered or underpowered much better than a Platinum 4 player. On the other hand, if the vast majority of players are at a Platinum level or below, then it would only make sense to cater to those players and force high elo to adapt to that meta. There's a problem with that, however: the existence of Pro Play. Numerically, they are a statistical fart in the wind, yet they bring in more publicity and money for the company than everyone else combined. Balancing champions for low elo would make it so that pro play balancing goes out of whack. Champions like Aphelios, Azir, Kalista, Renekton and many others cannot be balanced for both low elo and pro play at the same time without major changes and reworks, because they're either useless for the average player or too strong for professionals. The opposite applies to champions like Evelynn, Shaco and Master Yi. They shine in uncoordinated games and heavily punish mistakes made by less skilled players, but in coordinated tournaments, they're never seen. Is it fair that a low elo player has an uphill battle just because they like playing Ryze? No. Is it fair that players in Master Plus can't play Master Yi without gimping themselves? Also no. There's no way to make everyone happy, and so what Riot chose to do is to mostly prioritize pro play, with a few caveats. Since esports is such a huge moneymaker for the company, their first priority is to nerf things that are always present in tournaments and buff things that would be interesting or flashy to watch for an esports audience. A champion like Katarina or Teemo will never be played seriously on the international stage anyway, and so those guys don't even take pro play into consideration when they are changed. They are supposed to be viable in solo queue even if they end up being ridiculous in lower elos. This approach of having different pools of champions for different levels of play only really works because of the sheer number of possible champions and team compositions present in the game. However, as a very middle-of-the-road player myself, it's very discouraging to see my favorite champion being kept crippled for so long. One solution that many have suggested in the past and continue to hold on to is to have separate balancing patches for regular play and esports tournaments. That way, champions like Aphelios, Renekton, Zeri and Ryze could be more easily balanced without having to worry about being overbearing in pro play. There would still be a discrepancy between lower and higher elo, such as Lux and Master Yi being low elo staples that rarely work out the higher you climb. But then, Riot would only have to worry about two major focus groups rather than three. The main problem with this is that then, pro play would become a completely separate thing. Players wouldn't be able to get any good practice by playing solo queue, since the real pro games would have completely different balancing, and the average player would possibly feel distant and disconnected from competitive play, since they would be playing a different game, not just metaphorically this time. But what are your thoughts on this? Frankly, I don't think there's an easy solution. Personally, I don't care much for pro play, but I know lots of people who do, and I have to concede it's an important revenue stream for Riot. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like this. Another thing that separates solo play from esports is the massive gap in communication. This video goes into some more detail into why the game should or should not have a voice chat for solo queue, so give it a watch if you're curious. Hope to see you there, and thank you for watching. Cheers.